They say blood is thicker than water, but in my family, blood is just another currency you trade for leverage. Right now, as I speak, there is a man being dragged out of the Met Gala in handcuffs. The paparazzi are blinding him with flashes. He's screaming about his rights, about his legacy, about how he's a visionary. That man is Richard Sterling, the tech mogul, the real estate tycoon, the father of the year, and I'm the one who called the FBI. My name is Alyssa. I'm 29 years old. For my entire life, I was the invisible daughter, the disappointment, the nurse who wasted her potential while her brother was groomed to inherit an empire built on smoke and mirrors. But today I'm the only Sterling who isn't bankrupt or behind bars, and it all started with a piece of garbage. Literally, let's rewind 3 months. Is it to the day my grandfather died? Grandpa was the only decent human being in our bloodline. He didn't care about the Hamptons or the stock market. He cared about people. When his will was read, the tension in the room was suffocating. My father, Richard, was expecting millions. My brother, Hunter, was already looking up new Lamborghinis on his phone, but Grandpa left them nothing. Not a cent. He donated his entire estate to charity. The look on my father's face was priceless, a mix of confusion and pure, unadulterated rage. Then the lawyer handed me an envelope. Inside was an old, tattered bank passbook. It smelled like mothballs and peppermint. It looked like something from the 1980s because it was. My father snatched it from my hands. He flipped through it, saw the initial deposit of $5,000 from 1985, and laughed. A cruel, barking laugh that echoed in the lawyer's mahogany office. $5,000? He scoffed. This is his legacy? This is what he leaves you? We were at a memorial lunch. Champagne was flowing. My father looked at me with those cold, shark-like eyes, the same eyes that had judged every grade I ever got, every boyfriend I ever had. And he sneered, "This is trash, Alyssa, just like your ambition." And then he did it. He tossed the passbook into the silver ice bucket, chilling the Dom Perignon. "It belongs in the trash," he said. "Do yourself a favor and throw it away. Don't embarrass us by trying to cash out Granddaddy's pocket change." Hunter laughed. My stepmother didn't even look up from her phone. I stood there, humiliated. My hands were shaking. Not from sadness, but from a lifetime of being treated like a prop in their reality show. I fished the soggy book out of the ice water. My fingers went numb from the cold. I dried it off on my skirt, turned around, and walked out. I didn't know it then, but that trash was a loaded gun, and my father had just handed it to me. The next morning, I took the day off from the hospital. I went to the bank, not the fancy private wealth management firm my father used, but the old community bank downtown where Grandpa used to take me for lollipops. The teller was a sweet older woman named Margaret. She looked at the water-damaged book and frowned. "Oh, honey, this has seen better days. Let me see if the magnetic strip still works." I waited. I was expecting maybe $10,000, enough for a down payment on a small apartment away from my toxic family. Listen, that was all I wanted. An escape. Margaret typed on her keyboard, then she stopped. She squinted at the screen. She took off her glasses, wiped them, put them back on, and stared again. "Is something wrong?" I asked, my stomach tightening. "Is the account closed?" "No," Margaret whispered. Her face had gone pale. "Miss Sterling, are you aware of the structure of this account?" "Structure? It's just a savings account, right?" "It was," she said, "in 1985. But your grandfather, he didn't just leave it sitting there. He set it up as a high-yield trust linked to a diversified portfolio, specifically early tech stocks. He bought into Apple in the 90s, Amazon in the early 2000s, and he set it to automatically reinvest all dividends, compounding interest, for 40 years. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Okay, so, how much is in there? 50,000? Margaret turned the monitor towards me. I looked at the number. I blinked. I looked again. There were too many commas. $12,486,302. I stopped breathing. The sounds of the bank faded away. $12 million. My grandfather, the man who wore the same cardigan for 20 years, was a silent genius. He knew my father would blow the inheritance on yachts and bad crypto investments, so he hid the real fortune in the one place my arrogant father would never look. A piece of trash. "Do you want to withdraw this?" Margaret asked, her voice trembling slightly. "No," I said, a smile slowly forming on my lips. "Not yet, but I need you to move it. I'd move it to a secure offshore holding where no one with the last name Sterling can touch it, especially not my father." 2 weeks later, the universe decided to balance the scales. My husband, Luke, works in forensic accounting. He's the guy companies call when the numbers don't add up. One night, he came home looking like he'd seen a ghost. He put his laptop on the kitchen table and opened a file. "Alyssa?" he said seriously. "You know your dad's new AI real estate project? The one he's launching at the gala next month?" "Yeah, the Sterling Summit." He won't shut up about it. "It's a Ponzi scheme," Luke said. "A classic liquidity trap. He's taking money from new investors to pay off the interest on loans he took out 5 years ago. He's insolvent, Alyssa, completely broke. He's leveraged everything, the house, the cars, the company jet. If he doesn't raise $50 million by the end of the month, the whole deck of cards collapses." I stared at the spreadsheets. Red numbers everywhere. My father wasn't just broke, he was drowning. And he was desperate. That's when my phone rang. Daddy flashed on the screen. He hadn't called me in 6 months. I answered, putting him on speaker so Luke could hear. "Alyssa, sweetheart," his voice was booming, fake, overly enthusiastic. "How's my favorite girl?" "I'm your only girl, Dad. What do you want?" So cynical. Can't a father call his daughter? "Listen, I've been thinking about that little gift Grandpa left you." I felt bad about how I reacted. "I want to make it up to you." "You do?" I played along, my voice dripping with feigned innocence. "Yes, I want to help you invest it. I know it's not much, probably a few thousand, right? But I can roll it into the Sterling Summit. I guarantee 20% returns. I'll even waive the management fees. Consider it an apology." I looked at Luke. He was trying not to laugh. My father didn't know about the 12 million. He was hunting for pennies in the couch cushions. He was so desperate for cash flow that he was trying to scam his own daughter out of what he thought was pocket change. "That sounds generous, Dad," I said, "but actually, I was going to ask for your help with something else." "Oh, what is it? Make it quick, I have a meeting with the senator." I found some other papers in Grandpa's box, tax stuff. I don't understand it. It looks like he set up some kind of liability shield for the family. I need someone to sign as the primary beneficiary to take over the tax burden. I don't want to get audited." "Tax burden?" He hesitated. "How much?" "The lawyer said it dissolves the previous debts if the primary head of household assumes sole liability. Something about a patriarchal clause." I made that up. Completely. It was gibberish. But I knew 2 things about my father. He was greedy, and he was a narcissist who needed to be the head of household on everything. "Bring the papers to the gala," he commanded. "I'll sign them, but bring that passbook too. We'll deposit it into the company account." "Okay, Dad, see you there." I hung up. Luke looked at me, terrified and impressed. "What are you going to make him sign?" "Not a tax form," I said. "An affidavit of sole liability and a confession of judgment." The night of the gala was glittering with excess. Champagne towers, ice sculptures, influencers live streaming in every corner. It was a celebration of wealth by a man who had none. I wore a red dress, not the beige or gray I usually wore to blend in. Tonight, I wanted to be seen. I found my father in the VIP lounge surrounded by sycophants. He looked tired. The makeup couldn't hide the bags under his eyes or the sweat on his forehead. He saw me and waved me over, snapping his fingers like I was a waitress. "You brought it?" he hissed, pulling me into a corner. "Right here." I handed him a thick stack of documents. Hidden in the middle of standard NDAs and tax forms was the document Luke and I had drafted. It stated clearly that the undersigned acknowledged full personal responsibility for all debts incurred by Sterling Corp., admitted to falsifying financial records to secure loans, and absolved all other family members, specifically me, from any financial association. Essentially, it was a suicide note for his career. "Where do I sign?" He didn't even read the first page. He was looking over my shoulder at a potential investor. "Here, here, and here," I pointed. "And this is the transfer slip for the passbook." I handed him a deposit slip. I had filled it out for him. Amount, $5,000. He signed everything with a flourish. His signature was big, looping, arrogant. He handed the papers to his assistant without a second glance. "Good girl," he patted my cheek. It felt like a slap. "Now, go enjoy the buffet. Try not to embarrass me." He walked onto the stage. The lights dimmed. A spotlight hit him. The applause was deafening. "Ladies and gentlemen," he bellowed into the microphone, "welcome to the future. And the Sterling Summit is not just an investment. It's a revolution." I stood at the back of the room next to Luke. I took out my phone. "Is it done?" Luke asked. "He signed it," I whispered. "And I just emailed the PDF to the SEC, the IRS, and the bank that holds his mortgage." The collapse happened in real time. While my father was showing slides of AI-generated skyscrapers, phones in the audience started lighting up. A murmur went through the crowd. The SEC moves fast when you hand them a signed confession on a silver platter. But the bank moves faster. Suddenly, the giant screen behind my father flickered. The presentation cut out. In its place, a breaking news alert from a financial channel appeared. The headline was massive. Sterling Corp insolvent. CEO admits to fraud. My father froze. He turned around and saw his own face on the news. He laughed nervously. A technical glitch, folks. A prank. Security. But then, the doors opened. It wasn't security. It was the FBI. The room erupted into chaos. People were screaming, dropping their drinks, rushing for the exits. I watched as 3 agents walked up the stage stairs. My father tried to actually run, towards the back exit, but he tripped over a microphone wire. It was pathetic. The great Richard Sterling scrambling on his hands and knees like a frightened rat. They hauled him up. They read him his rights. And as they dragged him past the VIP section, he locked eyes with me. I was holding a glass of champagne. I raised it to him. He looked at me, confused. Then he looked at the phone in my other hand. The screen was displaying my bank balance, $12,486,302. His eyes widened. He realized it. He realized he had thrown away the only thing that could have bailed him out. He realized I had the money all along. And he realized he had just signed away his freedom to the daughter he called trash. He opened his mouth to scream, but the agent shoved him forward. That was 6 hours ago. The party is over. The police tape is up. I'm sitting in my car, watching the lights of the city. My brother, Hunter, called me 10 minutes ago, begging for money. He said they seized his Porsche. He said he has nowhere to go. That sounds tough, Hunter, I said. Maybe you should check the trash. You never know what you might find. I blocked his number. I looked at the passbook sitting on the passenger seat. Dried, crinkled, water-stained. It's the most beautiful thing I own. Grandpa didn't just leave me money. He gave me a test to see if I had the spine to survive this family. I passed. My name is Alyssa Sterling. I'm 29 years old, and I'm finally free.